Good morning, welcome back to a new class. Today we'll be looking at eczema. This is also known as atopic dermatitis, so AD. This is basically an inflammatory condition, okay, that involves the immune system as well. So immune plus inflammation of the skin. You have environmental triggers, environmental toxins that invade, that come in contact with the skin, and the skin, because it's already vulnerable, it becomes even more damaged, which is why you get itching, you get dryness. Water gets basically pulled out. There's lack of moisture in the skin barrier. So your skin barrier is compromised. Skin barrier, it's already compromised usually since birth. You're actually born with a lack of skin barrier function, so protection. And because of that, when there's an environmental contact with that skin, your immune cells, they basically react, they become hyperactive. And in that local area where the eczema is, you get dryness, you get redness, itching, etc. So because you're born with the skin barrier which is compromised, your immune system is also compromised. And we'll look at how your immunity, so your gut, your skin, and your lungs are connected. So this is known as skin, gut, and lung axis. Just how you know the gut-brain axis, the connection between the gut-brain, because there's a vagus nerve that goes up, a spinal cord that gets connected to the brain through the gut. We know that, but there's also skin, lung, and gut axis as well, which basically connects the three together, which is why if you have eczema, you often grow out of it, but over a period of time, you can develop asthma as well. Eczema, asthma, and hay fever are commonly connected because of this axis. Okay, so hay fever, eczema, and asthma, because your immune system is compromised. 70% of your immune system, is in the gut, essentially. So there's a gut wall, you can say a barricade, that is 70% of immunity is developed there, and defenses are developed there, which ensures that your skin and your lungs are also protected. So if you don't have good amount of immune wall in your gut, then you have a compromise of all the other two axes as well. Your skin barrier, which is already damaged and weak since birth, it comes in contact with environmental toxins and you get exposure. A vulnerable state becomes exposed and inflammation gets created there because of an hyperactive immune system, and you get dryness, you get itching. I'll write it down for you. Discoloration as well. So we have dryness, itching, redness, discoloration of the skin. Usually it becomes very thick over time, the area where there is eczema. Okay, you often get it around your neck, even on the head or in the joint areas. Usually when you're exposed to toxins, they become localized over there, and it's like thick, blistery type blister symptoms. And if you scratch it, you usually get ooze that comes out of it. It's like sort of liquid ooze that comes out. Once you scratch it, it crusts out, it becomes flaky over time. It's a very hard psychologically as well. Like when you come in contact with a social environment, you feel like there's something wrong with you. It takes a dig on your self-esteem and courage as well, because of the social stigma and norms around having clear skin. All these symptoms are a result of compromised immunity and compromised skin barrier. Now, where does this compromise come from? That's the question that you should ask. Why is your immunity compromised? Why are you born with eczema, and why is your skin barrier not functioning well? I'll give you an understanding of the immune system when you're born. Essentially, if you're born naturally, not through C-section, you have exposure to vaginal acids that gets basically transferred to the bacteria, so they get transferred while the baby's coming out of the vagina. And you have, because of that exposure to the vaginal bacteria, the immune system develops naturally. Okay, so that's one aspect. The other aspect is when your parents are either not smoking, when they are exposed to a more natural world, for example, with soil, farming, more bacteria, more viruses, their immune system actually develops as well. And evolution has done that to us. If you imagine, thousands of years of evolution has created our body today. Thousands of years of immune defenses have been created. thousands of years of bacteria, viruses that have been created in the natural world has been basically played a role in making our immune system what it is today, a very strong defensive immune system. But when you introduce things like antibiotics, C-section, when you have an overly sanitized household, so overly sanitized household, you live in urban areas, okay, you're constantly washing hands, you have exposure to more environmental air pollution, so traffic related air pollution, and you're basically more clean, right? Antibiotics is a big one. There's lack of contact with the sun, so no sun, and yeah, smoking is one. And you're like in office cubicles where again there is air conditioning, etc. So there is a very clean space that is around you. Okay, an environment you live in is very clean because of the chemicals, the air fresheners, the sanitization that has been done around. All of these factors, lack of exercise, and processed foods. So all of these factors later on lead to a very clean gut. And a clean gut, on one hand, because this is highly curated for the human being, it's not natural. It's not natural because your immune system is meant to develop from the natural soil, from the natural bacteria, how it's been through evolution. It's meant to be like that. Like you're meant to be exposed to farm natural chemicals in the environment. When you are exposed to more human-made chemicals and human destructive chemicals, it leads to a compromised immunity. T lymphocytes is T cells, which are basically a part of your immune cells. And it's known as T1, Th1, and Th2. Okay, these two play a major role in protecting you from parasites, bacteria, viruses, cancer, etc. You're born with it, okay? You're born with it, naturally you're born with it with a balance. But in eczema, there's only Th2, which is dominant. It's high. When Th2 is high, Th1 doesn't get time to mature. It's immature. It's not been programmed, you can say. And hence there's an imbalance of Th1 and Th2. Over time, Th1 develops because you get exposed to, again, chemicals in the environment, and you grow out of eczema because of that. At birth, when you're exposed to all of these, sanitization and chemicals and processed foods, etc., especially your parents, because they're giving you birth, what happens is your immunity gets destroyed. The way your immune system works is when you're exposed to bacteria, your immune system develops cells to protect you from that bacteria. Now, if you're not exposed to that bacteria in the first place, right, if you're not exposed to vaginal bacteria, fecal bacteria, so even immunoglobulins and growth hormones that are present in breast milk that are not in formula feeding, okay? But your immune system doesn't get a chance to develop itself. Even in the child, the immune system doesn't get a chance to develop itself because there is no bacteria to fight, or it's too clean, essentially. There's no viruses, there's no parasites, etc., etc. You see, the natural world that we live in, there's a balance. There's parasites, there's the bad, and then there's the good. But if you're not exposed to the bad, you won't develop your immune system to fight the bad. Because you're at a very vulnerable stage when you're born, you're naturally going to be compromised of your immunity because you're coming out into the world and you don't know what the environmental toxins are like. Hence, you get symptoms, which is inflammatory because your immune system doesn't know how to react to those environmental toxins. So you grow up first early stages with eczema. And when eczema goes away, when you develop, because you're in the natural world, you develop Th1 matures over time, you can't fully get a balance because you're not born with it. So that's one of the things we have to understand is people who are not born with a complete balance of Th1 and Th2 immune cells. It's very hard for them unless they expose themselves to natural sunlight, to no use of antibiotics, to good probiotics, in fact, to exercise, eating clean, not processed food. What I mean by eating clean is eating from a farm, for example, not getting formula fed. So ensuring that there is slow exposure to milk, etc. And being in contact with all the elements. So water, air, sunlight, space, fire is sunlight, and earth, which is the soil. Okay, so touching the soil. So it has a lot of microbes, again, which make your immune system stronger because the parasites basically tell the immune system to become better. So the whole idea, the whole point of eczema is it's all about immunity. If you come in contact with these natural elements, the more you come in contact with it, the more your Th1 is likely to develop and mature, and hence you can come out of eczema pretty quickly. But you have to train your immune system. You have to tame your immune system, okay? Your immune system is already compromised because you're not born with a balance. This imbalance happens because of this. That's what I'm trying to explain, is this Th2 dominance happens because of over-sanitization, which is sadly a reality of the world that we live in because of convenience, because of our connection, our exposure. We think viruses, bacteria, etc., they're bad, and we need to ensure safety, and we need to clean our hands all the time, etc. And bacteria is always there, etc. They can kill us. But the truth is that small amounts of exposure is safe. Okay, this is a lot of exposure to no bacteria, but small amounts of exposure to bacteria are very safe. It's actually meant to be like that because imagine like our ancestors, our grandfathers, grandmothers, they have had an insane amount of history, insane amount of years that have gone by to make us a human being. We still have those cells, right, from, I don't know, thousands of years. We destroy that by taking something like antibiotics, okay? And I'm not against antibiotics, but I'm just saying that, and obviously in some cases it is important, so I'm not disregarding the benefit of it, but the destruction that antibiotics has done to our gut and to them, all the cells in the gut, even the good and the bad, you're basically annihilating the entire gut microbiome using antibiotics. And imagine this gut microbiome, it protects your immune system, okay? It ensures that your defense systems are in place and that any bacteria and viruses that are in the environment don't attack you. But when you take this and you destroy the good and the bad, even in cancer, you destroy the good and the bad, and you're completely vulnerable because your immune system is completely destroyed. You get diseases like this. You get issues with your skin, your lungs, and your gut. That's what happens. But when you are exposed, you go to farm, you do farming. When you eat proper food, not chemical food like burgers, etc., you're eating clean, healthy foods. There's less processes in the middle involved to bring that food onto your plate. The more you have a better immune system because your body learns to fight the natural bacteria that is there in the soil, in the environment, etc. So there's a huge place for parasites, there's a huge place for worms, there's a huge place for bacteria in the natural world, okay? But when you make it clean, because of human ego or human thinking that we're gonna die, like if we don't kill these bacteria, and we over chlorinate fluoride in the water, it's just too clean. That's all it is. Our immune systems become vulnerable. When our immune systems become vulnerable, when we get exposed to the natural bacteria in the environment, we get inflammation. Our immune system drops and we have issues with itching, redness, all sorts of skin disorders. Main one being eczema, the most noticed one by the medical science, etc., is eczema. Atopic dermatitis. Your hands basically have nerve endings, and there is something called substance P, which gets activated when you touch something in the environment. That substance P is like a neuropeptide. A neuropeptide is basically a connection between your emotions and the hormones. Okay, so when you touch something, that's why when you have physical contact with someone, there's oxytocin released. When you touch something that is stress-inducing, for example, when you touch your phone, there's EMF that is released from your phone. Microwaves release electromagnetic waves, etc. So all of that triggers substance P to be released. And substance P leads to histamine, okay? Substance P leads to histamine and release in the body. Histamine is basically like a trigger to protect your body, but too much histamine causes itching, causes headaches, causes migraines, causes dark circles. A lot of gut, skin issues are related to histamine intolerance or too much histamine in the body. And that is because of stress or because of a chemical in the environment that is causing stress, whether that's from a relationship, whether that's from microwaves. There is also filaggrin mutation, which is simply your skin barrier being deficient. So being weak, because there is deficiency of filaggrin in your body or in your skin. So skin barrier weakening. But this is a few parts, and I won't go into too much depth because this is basically the gist of it, and you only need to know this in order to help heal eczema. And all of this because your gut is also vulnerable. It's basically like leaky gut and leaky skin. okay? Because there's ooze that comes out of the eczema. Basically, your body's leaking. That's how you want to see eczema. And when there's a leak, right, then the defenses are not there. When you come in contact with things like SLS from soaps, from shampoos, sodium lauryl sulfate, when you come in contact with dust mites, air fresheners, dander from cats and dogs, pollen, fragrances, hot water, chlorine, okay? All these are skin irritants. Phthalates, stress from relationships is also huge, and which we'll discuss later on. Ancient civilization looked at human emotion as skin disease, human emotion connected, so we'll look at that. Anxiety, hostility, anger, resentment, these are all activators of substance P, neuropeptide. Poor sleep, grief, issues in relationships, conflicts, etc. They're all emotions, but they all act as skin irritants. You also have things like BPA from plastic, food packaging, plastic food packaging, synthetic fragrances, etc. These are skin irritants that trigger inflammation, okay? That basically go into the skin barrier, pull out the water, and make your immune system act up, causing redness, dryness, itchiness. So that's all in all why eczema happens and what eczema is and how it happens. Now we'll look at the natural world, how ancient civilizations looked at skin conditions, and then we'll try to figure out what you can do. I've already kind of mentioned what you can do, but we'll go into detail of what you can do emotionally as well, because that's huge, of coming out, of recovering from eczema. So imagine you're a tree, and you should think of yourself as a tree because everything in nature kind of is similar, and there's a pattern. There's a pattern because if you look at a tree, the higher the tree, the lower its roots are, and which basically represents the skin as the tree, the outside, and the inner system as our nervous system, okay? The blood vessels, the nervous system, etc. They're like roots in the entire underground tree system. And they all communicate, okay? Our entire system, it communicates through cells, through hormones. When there is an issue, when there is an environmental stress on the tree, when there is flooding, when there is any sort of parasitic fertilization that can kill the roots of the tree, even a plant, it travels that entire signal throughout the nervous system, okay, for protection. The entire nervous system gets the signal. All the blood vessels get the signal. It's the same with us. If there is stress, our entire body is affected by that. Whether that's physical stress, whether that's emotional stress, whether it's an irritant or whether that's a parasite or worm, etc., or toxins, bacteria. We're constantly being exposed to these bad things, and they are affecting us on a daily basis. But when we have a vulnerable immune system, they manifest as disease because our immune system is not developed enough to fight the bacteria or the viruses. We naturally become exposed to getting a disease like eczema on the skin. Just like leaves on a tree will get dried up because there's lack of moisture, they will fall off. It's the same thing with our skin. Our skin also gets dried. So there's a huge correlation between the natural world and us. There's also an understanding of honeycomb and bees. When bees are creating the honey, there's like a collection, like a hive, right? Honeycomb hive, which if it gets destroyed by, let's say, a fertilizer, the entire hive becomes affected. It goes into a shock, okay? The bees become paralyzed, right? With the eczema on your skin, it's paralyzed. It's not able to move, okay? There's like a patch it's hostile, basically. Same thing with a hive. It becomes paralyzed. It's in shock. There's a stress because of a chemical, okay? That's one understanding. The way you can see this is if there's something that can affect our entire body, then there's things that can heal our entire body as well. So it goes both ways. It's the sun and the moon. Okay, if there's a balance, just like Th1 and Th2, the polarity yin and yang, disease is manifested with the imbalance of that. When there is balance and we look towards balance, we can heal that condition. With that in mind, let's look at ancient civilizations and how they understood skin. Ayurveda looked at everything, whatever's on the inside, it's a reflection. Your body's a reflection, okay? So everything outside that is happening, it's a reflection of the inside. In Chinese medicine, they looked at lungs, skin, they were connected. The qis were connected. And then this one's the most important one, Aztec. So I won't go into all of them, but yeah, Aztecs, This is Mesoamericans who now we know as Mexicans or Mexico. Aztecs looked at a skin disease as a disease of disharmony between social, physical, and spiritual realms. This is the most important one to understand. This is where it connects. When there is a disharmony, when there's an imbalance between your social relationships, your physical body, and your spiritual self, and I'll explain what that means, you get a skin disease. If you look at it, if you connect the dots from the start, if you look at evolution, right, it's a connection. All it is, it's a connection. Your entire nervous system is a connection. The roots in your body are a connection. The blood vessels are connected. Everything is communicating. Everything is connected. Because of this connection, you thrive, you survive, you're stronger. When we cut this connection off through the use of chemicals, through the use of sanitization, through the use of C-section, antibiotics, formula feeding, etc., you cut off the entire network and you make everything imbalanced. Okay? So there is a disconnection, a physical disconnection, because of those chemicals that we have sanitized our body with. When there's a physical disconnection, again, there's a disharmony, because this is like science, right? Which is, again, the science that is kind of not natural, and that moves us away from the spiritual world that we live in. It moves us away from our spirituality, our heart, what we feel, our intuition, our instincts. It moves us away from that. We become too logical, but we need both creativity and logic to be balanced. We need science and spirituality. They are a reflection of each other. In fact, through science, you can actually understand spirituality much better. But when you deny the other and only believe in one existence, only believe in sanitization, you get imbalance, okay? You get disease. And then again, because of all of this, because of physical, because of spiritual, you have a social imbalance. If you have relationship issues, if you have disharmony, if you feel resentment, anger, frustration, anxiety because of people in your life, there's a disconnection right there. There's a disconnection between your mother when she's giving you birth through C-section. It's not a natural birth, and hence there's a disconnection of the natural process. So it's all about connection from all of this understanding. When we look at from the beginning, the connection of evolution, which developed our entire immune system, when we respect that, when we don't introduce fertilizers into our body, we protect it. And hence evolution protects us. It protects our immune system. Isolation, so drugs. You see, if you look at eczema treatments, right, it's mainly corticosteroids that get put on as topical applications. So they only look at the top. It's only a topical thing that's been programmed into your mind. You only think from that level. You think from the leaf. The leaf is being dried out because of a huge reason in the roots. It's not the leaf that's the problem. It's not the skin that's the problem. It's your immune system that has been dysregulated because of hyper-cleanliness. Things in our society, in our urban culture that we live in, houses, office cubicles, air conditioners, isolation, each one has its own apartment. There is no connection, there is no harmony within our civilization. We're only connected on the 2D virtual world, right? We just message each other, whatever. But we're not really connected in real life, in reality. What does that mean? It means spending time with your family. It means being connected with your friends, having a good social connection, having a good family connection. The more you engage with healthy relationships, with healthy union of your friends and your family, the more your health becomes better, because your immune defenses go up. The more you're socially happy, the more you're physically going to be happy. Your physical body's going to be healthy. The more your physical body's going to be healthy, the more your spirituality is going to increase. The more you'll be able to understand things and make decisions from a clear mind, from a calm mind, because you have harmony between these two. It's all about connection. It's all about harmony. It's all about seeing that the world that we live in today, it's a completely different world to how civilizations in the past lived in. They all looked at the spiritual world. They all knew that there is divinity, that there's something divine, gravity, the perfection of gravity, the perfection of the skies, the sun and the moon, the planets. They all lived in harmony. But when you shoot rockets up into the sky and you disregard the existence of God, the existence of divinity, the existence of creation itself, You know, when you hyper sanitize because you think that you're going to get sick, right? You disregard evolution. You disregard nature itself. All the elements, fire, water, earth, air, and space, you disregard that completely and you get disease, you get problems, you get health issues. There is no effect without a cause. Everything has a reason. And that's what I want you to constantly question. That's what I want you to constantly doubt. Why do you have a disease? It's not all just apply something and it will be fixed. It doesn't work like that. Health doesn't work like that. You have to think deeper, dive deep. Like if you even look at Google itself, and if you search up what's eczema, it will take time to tell you about Th1 and Th2. Right? It won't tell you deeply, and it took me time to actually understand Th1 and Th2 as well, because it was so confusing. It's not as simple as oh, you have inflammation because of immune dysregulation. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what does immune dysregulation even mean? You know, so you'll be confused by the scientific terms being used on the internet as well. So you have to have a really curious, doubtful, questioning mind to get ahead, an imaginative mind to get ahead. You have to go beyond applications. You have to go beyond thinking that this is the only cause, there's only linear pathway. What Google tells me, I'll only think of that, and I won't think of anything else, because it's not what Google is not telling me, right? Unless you can connect the dots with the spiritual world, unless you can connect the dots with how you feel in your heart, how you act, your instincts, your imagination, okay? They all are out of the scientific realm, but they all make sense, right? It feels right to love someone. It feels right to be away from someone. It feels right to follow something that you're curious about, you know? And logic will tell you to not do that. Science will tell you to not do that. But you get the most compounding effects by traveling out of the boxed world that we live in today. The results, the beauty, the divinity is in creativity. Logic is just reasoning for that creativity. Your imagination is what makes divinity happen in your reality. So respect the natural world that we live in. Come in contact with soil, with the sea, with the ocean. Be in sunlight, be in moonlight. All of that will calm you down. It will deregulate your body, de-stress you. The more you play with germs, the more you play with sand, soil, okay? You literally get your hands dirty, the more your immune system becomes stronger. And that's the theory of eczema. It's a skin condition, but it starts off in the gut, where 70% of your immune system is built. And the way you build a strong immune system is through exposure, not sanitization. If I were to give you something, in the natural world, when animals get a skin disease, they usually eat things like bitters, which are dandelions. They chew on it. Their instinct tells them to chew on dandelions, bitter greens. Okay, so eating bitter foods is great help in eczema and skin conditions. Okay, so bitter greens, probiotics, reishi mushroom can also help develop the immune system. Wormwood, genation. You can also make a licorice cream. Make sure you keep everything moisturized. Avoid a lot of hot water. Make sure you only shower in cold water. Wet wipes also helps. There needs to be a constant moisture exposure to your skin wherever the patches are. So applying cream all the time is good, but make sure it's a natural cream with herbs like licorice, things like shea butter, vitamin E, etc. They all help skin health. Most importantly, avoid scratching. Keep your showers short and cold, and use soaps that are free from SLS, sodium lauryl sulfate. One thing I want to make you aware of is using milk. So milk is a great antibacterial agent for the skin. So if you apply milk on your body and just apply it on fully, and just rub some milk on your skin and leave it on for a minute or two, all the dirt will be pulled out. It will naturally moisturize the skin, and you can shower. So apply the milk and then shower. It only takes your body takes around 50 mils of milk and your skin glows. That's what they did in ancient civilization as well. You don't need soap, okay? You don't have to use soap. You can use milk. Dietary things, avoiding allergic foods can actually almost heal eczema, but then exposure to that is also good. So once you heal the eczema, once your inflammation goes down, to reintroduce things like dairy, eggs, peanuts, allergic things, they essentially reintroducing that slowly builds your immune system towards it. So first, a complete elimination can actually help with around 80%, 80%, 81% of complete recovery from eczema. Elimination diet is the most proposed in natural medicine when you have any skin issue. And because again, it all comes down to your gut. The less inflammation in your gut, the more healthy your skin is. But the beauty is once you build your gut through exposure therapy, and once the Th1 develops, completely matures, you'll naturally come out of eczema. Okay, you'll naturally come out of eczema. But then if you don't take care of your immune system, if you over sanitize, again, if you take antibiotics, whatever, even though you will overcome eczema, over time you can develop asthma or hay fever because your immune system is still born with a dysregulated immune system. Okay, so you have to be very careful. You have to ensure that you're constantly being exposed to the natural world through connection, through spiritual harmony, through following your heart, through connection with people around you. Connection is the most important, and that's what eczema teaches us in any skin disease. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll take 1 week off, so I won't be uploading anything next week. My video will come out the week later because I want to understand and review my entire progress so far that I've made and make any changes as I go forward. Other than that, the next condition that I want to focus on is hypothyroidism. So I'll see you for that a week later.